Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Shabbat Perek Kaf Bet Mishna Aleph. Over here in this Mishnah, I'm going to discuss. I wrote over here a barrel of wine that cracked open, what you're allowed to save from it, and then we're going to discuss the laws of squeezing fruits on Shabbat, right? Which is interesting. You're not allowed to squeeze fruits on Shabbat, but let's say something dripped on its own out of a fruit on Shabbat. Are you allowed to use that juice? That's going to be the discussion about Mishnah. So Havich Nishbera. If a barrel broke open, you could go ahead and save 3 seudot worth, right? Similar to the food that we mentioned with the fire. And you can tell others, come and save for yourselves. As long as you don't soak it up with a sponge, right? Again, the issue over here, remember when there was a fire in the house, right? The issue is you couldn't put out the fire. What's the issue of a barrel that broke open that you can't just go ahead and save the whole barrel? Right? We don't want you to go ahead and you spoke. You can't go ahead and soak it up with a sponge. Now why not? Because you can't do so. Right? You can't do so in the manner that you do so on a weekday. Right? And Rambam in the Chibur in the Mishnah Torah elaborates on this more, and he says if you do so as the way you do it on a weekday, you may come to squeeze, right? And that's the issue. Now the Mishnah continues, you can't squeeze fruits in order to draw liquids from them, right? You can't take an orange and squeeze it on Shabbat to get orange juice. Asurim, right? If they come out on their own, right? They drip out on their own, then they are also asur. Rabbi Yehuda he over here he differentiates. If you saved the fruits, right? You intended to have the fruits as a food, mutar. Right? Then what comes out of them is mutar. Asur. Right, so you took pomegranates, and you went ahead and you had them. You had them. You weren't squeezing them, and you planned on eating them. Now they dripped some juice on their own. You could go ahead and drip that. But let's say you brought them in to make it as a juice. Right? You didn't intend to eat these pomegranates. You intended to squeeze them and turn them into a juice and then drink it. Now Shabbat rolled in and you didn't squeeze them before. So being that you can't squeeze it on Shabbat, it's almost like you can't do anything with it, right? There's nothing you can do with it on Shabbat. So therefore, anything that drips from it will be asur. Right? That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Right? Now, what's interesting is that the Gemara explains that this mahloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Tanna Kama is specific to what types of fruits? Strawberries and pomegranates. Meaning what? If we were talking about olives and grapes, everybody agrees that whatever comes from it's going to be asur. Right? That everyone agrees to. Anything else other than these four, right? Olives, grapes, pomegranates, and strawberries, right? Everyone would agree that what comes from them, what drips from them, will be mutar, is allowed. Right. The only machloket over here is really between in regards to the pomegranates and the and the strawberries, where Hamim say they're similar to the grapes and the olives, and anything that comes from them, right, is going to be asur. And Rabbi Yehuda says no, he's mehalek. He differentiates between the two, and he says it depends if you brought them in for food or if you brought them in for a drink. And halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Halot devash, right? These honeycomb. Right, honeycomb. Shabbat, that you went ahead and you scrape them, you crush them from before Shabbat. Now asurim. If they came dripped on their own, right, they're asur. Rabbi Elazar matir. Rabbi Elazar allows for it, and halacha is like Rabbi Elazar. Right, interesting enough. That's how Rambam's posek, and that's what the halacha is.